If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. Roddy Richmond, aka Roddy Ricch, is dropping his new album, Feed the Streets 3, this Friday on November 18th. And in this video, I'm gonna break down and go over everything that we know about this new album. We've gotten quite a lot of information over the past couple of weeks that contributes to the release of this album, and today I want to go over all of it for the fans. It's going to be a very compact video, a lot of information, dense content right here, so make sure you stick through it, make sure you get everything you need as a fan for this release, and let's jump straight into this. Now, Feed the Streets is obviously a legendary series when it comes to Roddy Ricch, especially the second one that dropped back in 2018 was the one that really brought him like a lot of success. That was the one that made him break out on like yet another level. We had Down Below on there. We had stuff like, I think Every Season was as well on there. Stuff around the same time also Die Young dropped. So that was the time that Roddy Ricch really broke through. And so this is obviously a spiritual successor to that, and we have high expectations when it comes to this series. This one though, the third one, also serves another purpose. Because in 2019, he dropped Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, became a super big international superstar with The Box, for example, and also High Fashion and whatever we had on there. But then in 2021, not even a year ago, he dropped Live Life Fast, which was the album that everybody had big expectations for. Everybody was like, okay, he's a new Kendrick. We gotta, kind of reckon with him. He's gonna come through, carry this new generation. And then the album was ass. And so this new album, Feed the Streets 3, also serves the purpose of getting back his recognition, getting back his respect in hip-hop. And he even acknowledged it himself. A couple of days after Live Life Fast dropped, he composed a tweet that read, "Y'all playing with my top, Feed the Streets 3 coming 2022. So immediately, only a couple of days after dropping that bad album, he kind of took the criticism. He was like, okay, this is not what people wanted, and people were expecting more from me, and that's why he's now coming through with Feed the Streets 3. So that's the backstory of that. Ever since then, he's also dropped a little EP, The Big 3, that was alright. It kind of had the same flaws that also Live Life Fast had, which is mainly him not really knowing what he wants to rap about anymore, just a lot of fame, a lot of money, a lot of women, whatever comes with this new lifestyle that he's living. And we kind of wanted the Roddy that we could connect to on like this level of, okay, he's struggling, I can see that he's still trying to make it. That was the Roddy that we were all trying to connect to. Sad that we didn't get that. Let's hope that on this new album, we kind of get a little bit more of that side, even though I am very worried about that. A new video on that specifically will drop later today, so make sure you're subscribed to always stay up to date with any Roddy Ricch content that is still now coming out until the album comes out on Friday. Let's move a little bit forward in the timeline of this thing coming out. He's dropped a couple of singles as well, and I'm going to go into the singles before we get into the actual announcement, because when you look at it on like a timeline, the singles actually happened before at least the majority of them. So the first single that didn't even now make the album was Ghetto Superstars with G Herbo and Doughboy, and that track was alright. It was more like, okay, I guess you're dropping a single now. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's also the only one of the singles that didn't make the album, so kind of a weird place that song holds, so we're not going to focus on it too much. But it was alright. It was nothing special, but it was just like, okay, I see you. The next one is the one that so far performed the best, which is Stop Breathing. Also the one that I listened to the most likely, ever, up until now, I guess, because it's just a Roddy song you can kind of like get into. It's not great by any means. It also doesn't say a lot, there's not a lot of substance to it, but Stop Breathing was one that fans definitely liked. The same goes for the next song, which is Aston Martin Truck. That was, until today, the most recent single. That one just sounded like a generic Roddy Ricch song. Like if you took this song and you replaced it by a randomly chosen Roddy Ricch song, it would be like, the other one would probably be better. It is very soulless, not a lot of substance in there, not a lot that people can connect to. It's kind of a nice song if you're just driving your car and you just want something to play in the background, but it's definitely not like on the level that we thought, Roddy could take it to. So Aston Martin truck is like, all right. And the last one that I'm going to go into is the new one that dropped today, actually, which is the Lil Durk feature called Twin. If you haven't yet, make sure to go check it out. It randomly dropped on a Tuesday. I'm really not sure why he chose one of the only 2 features on the album that people might have had a reason to go to the album to listen to the features. Why he dropped that as a single 3 days before the album dropped, I have no idea. I'm going to go into that a little bit more in that other video where I express most of my concerns about the album. But that dropped. It's all right. It's also nothing special. It's kind of like you listen to it and you're like, okay, please pick up a little bit more, like please have something legendary, something great coming, and it just never happens, and you're just kind of left with this need for more, but then he doesn't supply more, not in like a positive sense. But anyway, that's kind of all we got for the singles. Now we're going to move into the official information that we got from him, so let's look at the announcement. So on October 22nd, so only like 2-3 weeks ago, he took to his social media to share the official announcement for the album. The announcement reads, Feed the Streets 3, November 18th, 2022, my gift to you. And we can see that he also shared the cover art with us. And the cover art I actually like quite a lot. It's him sitting at this, dinner table with, that looks like very much out of like a movie, like some like medieval movie, with a couple of his people, and he is literally feeding the streets. He's giving his people food, and I like that. I think that this is actually a pretty dope metaphor, like a pretty dope symbol you can use for the title of your album. So I like this very much, and I like that he also thought of that, even though it, like, you could say like, oh, it's like that's not even that far off, but I still liked it. I thought the album cover actually looks pretty nice. Well, then again, I also thought the same thing about Live Laugh Fast, and then the album was ass, so I don't know how much that says about it. But still, the cover art looks very nice, and I'm happy about that. Now let's look at the track list. That was the next thing that he released, and it was only a couple of days ago, 2 days ago I think, and I dropped an entire video kind of going over each track on its own and kind of seeing what we know about it. So make sure to go check it out. That video is also going to be in the entire playlist that I have for this thing, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the playlist on this new album. But when we look at the track list, we can see that there are 15 tracks. We can kind of go through them real quick and see what we know about them. We start off with the track called Just Because. We don't know nothing about this, but I do want to point out that I like that Roddy also credited the producers on there. The next track is called King Size. We're going to go into that in a second. Then a track called Heavier, then Blue Cheese, then Favor for a Favor, then the latest single that we got, which is Twin featuring Lil Durk. That is really not that special, but at least we got a Lil Durk feature. Then the single Aston Martin Truck that I already talked about. Then a single called Get Swept. Then Belly of the Beast, and then Stop Breathing, the one that I also talked about. Then we have Fade Away. Then the only other feature on here, Number One Freak with Ty Dolla $ign. Then a track called Pressure with, the unique selling point of this being that is produced by Mustard. Then a track called No Rest, and a track called Letter to My Son that I'm very excited for, because an outro track called Letter to My Son, that sounds pretty promising, gotta be honest with y'all. Now, most of the production credit on here we have a couple of Turbo produced tracks as well, but then one producer that really sticks out is Sonic. He has production credits on most of the songs on here, so we can likely, expect a lot of that style on here as well. Now, we don't actually know a lot about the songs that are going to be on here just because we haven't heard them, obviously, but there are a couple of snippets out there that even he himself shared. So when we kind of go through them, we can see that he dropped a snippet for the track with Mustard that, as we now know, is called Pressure. That actually sounds pretty alright. It's like also not great, but it's more like, okay, I see you, like it's not terrible. We also have a snippet for the track King Size that he shared on his IG live that people on the subreddit picked up on, so that that's something you can listen to. Go check out the subreddit, go check out the snippet. It sounded, again, it's nothing that you're like left with this incredible impression of like, this is going to be an amazing song. It's more like, alright, I guess it exists. And then on the subreddit, a couple of more people, for example, one guy said No Advice confirmed on Feed the Streets 3 on Roddy's story. Now, No Advice is not an actual title on here. He might be referring to King Size or to another track that is just going to be under a different title. If you have any more info on this, please please let me know. So that's kind of the snippets that we got for this. Obviously, there are a lot more like, you know, floating around on different forums and stuff like that. If you have any infos on this, make sure to let all the people know in the comments down below. But for now, that's everything we know about this. We got the title, we got the series of this thing, we got the whole context to it, the redemption for Live Life Fast, we got the official announcement, we got the track list, we got the snippets, the singles, all of that. So this is it for me. Now I want to know what you think about this though. Are you excited for Feat the Streets 3? What are your expectations for this? Do you think that Roddy is gonna go that like legendary Kendrick of this new generation route, or is he just gonna continue this path of slowly fading into irrelevancy? All of your thoughts on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.